Every morning when you wake up, your brain makes thousands of tiny decisions. Your mind starts to run its automatic programs, years of habits working for you or against you. And almost every one of them is driven by one thing.
It's what your brain craves.
And that's why it's so easy to reach for your phone and so hard to do the things you know will actually make a big difference. And before you know it, you have skipped your most important thing of the day. Your brain isn't lazy, it's simply been hacked to crave the easy rewards. So the question here is, how can you make your brain crave the things that truly matters?
The answer is not more discipline.
It's understanding how your brain is already wired to create habits. And once you know how to work with that system, you can make meditation something your mind naturally wants to return to. What I'm about to show you goes against everything you've been told about building habits. And at the end of this video, I will teach you my 5-step dopamine hack system that will make your brain physically addicted to meditation. So you can think clearer, make better choices, react differently, and become the person you always wanted to be. And here's what most people don't understand about it. We all have an energy meter running in the backdrop of our lives. It's your source of power through the day. It's the reason you do the things you do. That energy is called your dopamine. It's the fuel behind everything you do, every decision you take, every moment where you choose to show up or give up. And there are 2 ways you can spend that dopamine. One way is to spend it on your purpose in life, or you do what most people do, and that is number 2, waste it on the things that give you nothing in return, like scrolling the internet, for example. This is the dopamine you use up when you mindlessly scroll social media, when you drink, when you get high, when you do stupid stuff that feels good only in the moment but gives you absolutely nothing in return. And here's the scary part, because online it's all about one simple thing, something that everybody is screaming for. One thing so important that multi-trillion-dollar companies spend every walking moment trying to steal it. And that is this: your attention. Because when they have your attention, they have your mind. And when they have your mind, you become their puppet and strings, right? They can make you feel anything, buy anything, believe anything. And most people don't even know it's happening. You get hypnotized. So you can imagine that if you don't have your own plan and your own purpose, you become part of someone else's. But here's what happens when you spend your dopamine on something that actually matters. So if you think about a time before we even had phones, before social media, before even Netflix, our ancestors hunted for hours, some even days. And when they finally caught their prey, the dopamine hit was massive. They had food to survive, and the purpose gave a deep satisfaction. They earned it the hard way. And science calls this effort-based dopamine. The dopamine you get after working hard for something you really desire. And here's why this matters. Free dopamine, like scrolling YouTube videos for example, gives you a short hit. And then your brain wants more of it. And if you repeat the cycle, your brain gets addicted to it because it's easy to get without any effort. But earned dopamine, like building something or achieving something, that hits different. You feel different, much more satisfied. And it also lasts longer. It goes deeper. And instead of making you want more hits, it makes you want to repeat that activity itself. And that feeling of real satisfaction only comes when your brain knows you've worked for it. But here's the problem. Most people can't get there. Not because they don't want to, but because their brain has been hacked by the cheapest, easy to get version. So what if the reason you can't meditate consistently has nothing to do with discipline? What if your brain has simply been hacked by something more addictive? And this is the art of dopamine addiction. So here's my 5-step dopamine hack system that changed everything for me. Let's start with step 1. Step 1 is awareness. Be aware where you spend your dopamine. Your brain has a limited amount of dopamine it can produce each day. So it's important to understand where it is going. Because you won't let this happen to your phone, right? Then why do you let this happen with your mind? So I became aware of my own pattern and just noticed where my dopamine was going. Every time I picked up my phone without any reason, just notice it. write it down because you can't change the behavior if you don't even realize it's going on. And trust me, I was surprised when I became aware of my own dopamine cravings during the day. Because every video I watched, my brain was getting tiny hits of dopamine without doing anything. And that's the most dangerous addiction there is, because it slowly makes everything else feel too hard, including your 5 minutes of meditation. So your brain has a limited amount of dopamine it can produce each day. So it's crucial to understand where you spend it. Step number 2, starve the distraction. Remove all unnecessary sources of instant gratification. So meaningful work becomes the primary source of your reward. Because here's what happens when your brain gets free dopamine hits all day long. Your brain gets so flooded with easy dopamine that it slowly becomes less sensitive to it. Scientists call this dopamine resistant effect. And here's why this is so dangerous. When your brain becomes resistant to dopamine, nothing feels good anymore. This is why so many people feel sad, unhappy, and unsatisfied even without knowing why. And this feels empty because the reward system in your brain is built for effort. Otherwise, it never satisfies. So starve the distraction, because do you remember what I said earlier? If they have your attention, they have your mind. And when they have your mind, you become their puppet and strings. Step number 3, hack your morning. And there's another reason why the morning is the most powerful time. It's powerful because your brain is in theta waves, the border between sleep and your consciousness. And at this exact moment, your subconscious is wide open. And during this time, the brain is the most receptive to reprogram your mind. And that is why I became a big fan of the mind movie. When you make a mind movie, you place yourself inside the new world you want to see and want to step inside yourself. So you expose your nervous system to a repeated emotional picture of where you are going. And this makes the future feel familiar to your body. And when the future feels familiar, the body starts moving toward it naturally. So if you want to know more in detail about this mind movie, link is in the description below. But I highly recommend you to dive into the hidden benefits of this mind movie. So I started to make a new habit. And in my case, the most important task is, you guess, my meditation. Just a minimum of 5 minutes every single day. Before checking my phone, or even more important, before our little one wakes up. Because once he does, my meditation time is over, right? So when you do this, you will find hard things to be much easier when your brain has a full tank of gas. And better yet, it makes the rest of your day feel amazing. There is a certain lightness you earn when the biggest thing has already been taken care of that day, even if it's just 5 minutes. Consistent 5-minute progress every single day adds up rather quickly, especially considering 9 times out of 10 you end up doing much more than 5 minutes if you are in your flow state. Step number 4, reward yourself. Think about why you can't stop playing a game. It's motivated by little rewards. The ding when you level up, the coins ringing when you collect them, the sound of a box when you open it, or that victory music when you win. That's why scrolling is so addictive. Every like, every new video with new information, a tiny reward that keeps you coming back for more. So the hack here is simple but also hard. Stop letting dopamine use you. Start using it yourself. So here are 2 things I used to make my brain addicted to the things I find beneficial. First, I borrowed the intense dopamine craving and started with the most important task of my day, my meditation. And after I finish my morning routine, I reward myself with something I already crave, like my coffee. I don't even drink coffee because your brain already wants that coffee every morning, right? So you borrow that craving and attach it to your meditation, your most important task at that day. And after a few weeks, the association matures through that repetition. Secondly, and the most important thing, is I turn it into a game. Make it fun, make it pleasurable. And here's what most people don't know about failing at meditation. Most people feel like it's game over when they skip a day. But here's the thing, I call it the Super Mario effect. When you lose a level, it's not game over, right? You just go back to level 1 with all your experience, with everything you already know. So level 1 is, for example, 3 days in a row. Level 2 is 5 days in a row. Level 5 is 30 days in a row. And that's your streak. And every day you complete a day, you complete your streak. You mark it off with a check mark, and that's your reward. Your streak that you don't want to break. So that tiny visual, that win, that streak, that triggers dopamine. And your brain wants to protect that streak. And you don't want to miss the next day, right? But when you miss a day, it's not game over. No, you just start at level 1 again. Step number 5, charge your battery. And here's what I started to notice after a few weeks. When you start charging your battery with meditation and you don't get an easy dopamine shot, you start to feel different. But more important, you start to react differently during the day. Your thoughts become clearer, your decisions become better. You start to feel like a different person, the person you always wanted to be. And over time, your brain starts to connect meditation with that deep earned dopamine. And it starts to craving it. That's the dopamine hack working for you. But here's the thing. Once you start meditating, most people make the same simple mistakes I did for years. And those mistakes, they stop you from having all those benefits. And that's why I made a whole video about my 5 biggest mistakes doing Dr. Joe Dispenza's meditations. And you will definitely recognize mistake number 4. Link is right here, go watch it after this one. But first, don't forget to subscribe to support my channel, so I'm able to make more videos like this. Keep up the good work, and see you in the next video.